All right, what up, everybody? So today we're talking about forward. Okay, last post I did, if you check that out, we talked about backwards because NASA was talking about parallel universes and how one goes backward. So I figured following that, we should talk about the one that goes forward. But to understand how to go forward in this plane, you first got to know what forward is. So you got forward and ward. You know what wards are, right? Like in a prison. And wardens. So you got those. And then you got four. But you also can move forward, right? If you know what words are for. Now in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In your name you got what? You got some words, right? But when I tell you you won, that offends you. And you rather serve one. But that is what that is. So with these words, with these spells that we cast to where our sentences become our sentences, and this magic net, electromagnetic field, where your sentences are your sentences, words are more than you ever thought they were. In fact, they're everything. And nothing is anything without it. That's why you got a word for everything. But anywho, dive deeper than that. Okay, that's just touching the surface. But to go forward, you got to know what they for. To get out of that ward, that cell, you got to know how to free yourself. Now, check this out. If your sentences are your sentences, you're either going to speak death or life. You either get a life sentence or a death sentence. Now, that shouldn't sound weird because people have told you before that life and death is in the tongue. So, that's your life and death sentence that you speak. Your sentences are your sentences. So, for somebody who might have not known this and they use words recklessly, irresponsibly, they're going to create things recklessly. They're going to create things irresponsibly. Abracadabra. You create as you speak. What they didn't tell you is the speaking is your thinking, because you got to do that before you even talk. So let's just take it to the root. So that's the abracadabra. So if you ain't checking your thoughts and you allowing negative thoughts to sit in your head because you didn't know that's what's creating, because you're creating irresponsibly, well, those thoughts that's in your head, they're going to make what you're afraid of, what you're fearing, what you're worried about. You're going to make that happen with these words in your mind that you speak, because it's abracadabra. This is why your sentences are your sentences. This is why it's called spelling, because you're casting them. But only on yourself, because they never taught you how to do it any other. So we're going backwards. Today we're talking about how to go forward. You can't do that if you don't know what the words are for. In the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. Your name has words. You are an incantation. Look up that word. I put it in the series. That is a spell. That is a charm. That's why some people might find you charming. You are an sorry. I want to make sure I say this right. Reincarnation. You are incarnation. Go look that up. That is a deity in the flesh. The book or the Bible says you need to renew your mind. Be born again. We call that reincarnation. But because we are not moving forward, we're moving backwards. We don't know what these words are for. We find ourselves in a prison, in the wards, going back ward. That's incarceration. So you're an incantation, incarnation, being incarcerated because you haven't reincarnated yourself. Does that make sense? If it doesn't make sense, go look at the part I did before this, because I gave y'all the definition for all the words I just used, so don't get lost in that. Go look it up. That's what you are. So when I say that you're a God and I'm a God and they're a God, go look up the words. You'll see it said exactly what I just told you. And because you didn't know this is the reason you're in the backwards parallel universe. So I don't even know why that's news. It's not news. It would have been news if they would have told us there's a one that exists that actually moves forward. Because that's the only thing we have not been doing. And I've already proved it millions of times. If this is your first... Okay, so now you're incarcerated. Now you got this death sentence. Because naturally your genes regenerate themselves, which means your cells reproduce themselves. So the only reason our body decay is because we're doing something unnatural to a natural process. You want to know what's unnatural? You're not going forward. You're going backwards. That's what's unnatural. The reason you're going backwards is because you're creating a world or a parallel universe that's backwards. The reason you creating it is, one, you didn't know you was the one in charge in creating. Two, you're creating irresponsibly because you're throwing words around because you think they're just words. You don't realize it's worlds. Didn't he speak over the water to create this world? Aren't you made out of water? But you didn't know you was an incarnation. So that's the first problem. Which is why I say every problem stems from one problem, which is a self-image problem. Because if you knew you was an incarnation, you wouldn't have a... So now we find ourselves incarcerated. Because we don't know what words are for. We can't move forward because we don't know what words are. Imagine giving a sword. First off, words are a sword. Take the S from the end, move it to the beginning, you got sword. We did this when I covered heart and earth. You take H from the end, you got heart. It's a little bit of word magic that they do. That's why it's called spelling. It's magic. Anywho. So, you hear with these swords. Imagine giving a sword to a baby. Once again, Benjamin Button. So an adult would be a baby at that point. And they got a sword. Somebody getting cut. Now the thing about swords is, or words, they're actually more dangerous than swords. Because I can cut you and the wound will heal. But I can say something you'll never get over. Do you see what I'm saying? So you can heal from a little nick on your arm. But if I say something with these words, you won't get over it. I mean, unless you're a thought selector, but that's a whole nother thing. But most people won't get over it. It'll bug them forever. Anytime they think about it, they're going to hear these words again. They're going to hear that spell again. They're going to hear that sentence again. They're going to have to relive that sentence every time they reiterate that thought. Do you hear me? This will be the cells inside of themselves. This will be what confines them. What conforms them. What convicts them to make them convicts. So, I mean, it's 100 ways to say this is a ward, a prison. It's 100 ways to say it. But at the end of the day, what I need you to know is to move forward, to go to a forward parallel, you got to be reincarnated. To reincarnate something, you have to first understand you are an incarnation, what that means. Also, you have to know what incantation means and why in the beginning was the word was with God, and the word is God. You understand that? You understand why I call you one. You won't get offended. You won't serve one. You won't give your power away to one. You won't create a world irresponsibly. You'll now be in charge. You'll be able to create miracles. Do things that are miraculous. What we call magical. I mean, you're doing it anyway. You're just irresponsibly doing it. They taught you how to spell, but only how to cast them on yourself. So your sentences is your sentences. And right now you got a death sentences because we're going backwards. Remember, your genes regenerate themselves. So if we move forward and let our genes do what they're supposed to do, guess what'll happen? Life. You have a life sentence. Love y'all. I got to go. It's hot, man. Hope y'all staying dry and not sweating like me. Bye.